Hey, Hooper Kratos here. A few other changes that I would like to suggest. One is the Skellywag. Uh, right now the Skellywag is pretty much useless because its stats do not match the robot. The robot is just better. So maybe reduce its attack cooldown, even just to 1.5 seconds might be useful. I don't know. Right now it's got an attack cooldown of 2 seconds. That's why it's pretty useless. Uh, Maybe give it a special power, like stealing bricks. Every brick it destroys reduces the brick spawn time by 2.5 seconds. The idea is if it destroys 4 bricks, it gives you a free brick. So that's an option. Just some kind of special power to give you a reason to play it, which is what was done with the pirate. Um, its special power now makes it nearly playable. The no cast area. It is currently nearly useless. It's just a nearly useless card. So possibly, maybe just get rid of it. I don't know. Or just leave it and just consider it to be a useless card and just give up on it. Uh, Another option is to give it a smaller area but a longer time. So it is currently at 1.59 seconds. That's just way too short. I think it needs to be maybe a hair longer. But if you're going to do that, maybe give it make it cover a smaller area. The 3x3 area is probably a little too big if you're going to increase the time. Maybe 2x2, so a square. Maybe even just a 1x2, so it's in one lane and it covers the 2 squares in one lane, or a 1x3, so one lane but 3 squares in a row. Uh, you know, I personally like the 1x3 option because then it's all about accuracy. You have to play it in exactly the right lane and time it perfectly. Because if you've back when the Devil No Cast area was back when that combo was the meta, there was a while there where basically if you mastered the Devil No Cast area combo, you were doing pretty well. Um, and it it was actually it's part of the technique was being able to play the 2 cards quickly, and it's hard to do that accurately. And the 3x3 area of the no cast area made it so that if you accidentally played it in the wrong spot, you had a little bit of wiggle room. So if you make it 1x3 instead of 3x3, then you have no wiggle room. So it's all about how accurate you are, and it's hard to do that quickly. So that's an option. Maybe make it so it only blocks some things but not others. Maybe it doesn't block bricks. Uh, maybe it blocks units and spells, but it doesn't block bricks. So then people have an option of something to play. But it's not going to work every time because you don't always have a brick ready. So the no cast area will still guarantee you some devils hitting the wall, uh, but it's not going to guarantee it every time. Maybe that's an option. Uh, then I've suggested some changes to the devil, and that will increase the value of no cast area a little bit. I think the devil needs to go back to thrown damage of 2. In other words, 1 full heart instead of just a half a heart. Right now, I think the devil is actually a liability. If you play the devil and it gets through, you take half a heart off your opponent. All of a sudden, your mana bricks no longer generate mana, and your opponent's do, and your opponent will use that advantage to come back and crush you. So I really would warn people away from playing with the devil right now because I think it's going to do more harm than good for you. So I think the way to balance that out is to give it thrown damage of 2, 1 full heart again, because its stats are so bad. It can be stopped by a robot. It can be stopped by basically anything in the game. So, which I think is perfectly fine. It moves fast, so why not? Why not make it easy to kill? But then maybe give it a little more thrown damage. The cold snap. This is like the hardest thing to balance out in the game. It may be fine as is currently, but I think maybe increasing the max freeze duration a little bit might help. Maybe up to 4 seconds instead of 3.59, which is what it is currently. I don't know. That's a possibility. The roll laser. Again, I don't really know If the roll laser needs much in the way of changes, maybe it doesn't. If you see the cold snap, that's what I suggested for the cold snap, making it last a little longer. The ice brick, um, you know, making the ice brick a little better. Um, so if more people are using the ice brick, and if the 5 mana units have a little more uh, hit points, then all of a sudden the roll laser gets a little more attractive to put in your deck. Basically, with the roll laser, the spiked roller, the cold snap, you're basically asking yourself, why would I use this card that costs 1 more mana than the fireball? The fireball right now costs 2 mana to destroy a mana brick. So why would I use the roll laser? You've got to have a reason. And if you can freeze units for a little longer, if the 5 mana units have a lot of hit points that you want to take off with the roll laser, all of a sudden the roll laser becomes useful again. So there's some ideas. What about new cards? I have 2 new card ideas that I think might be easy to program. So it would be nice to see them happen. Well, one of them would be easy to program, the other one not. Anyway, the new spell idea. This is actually an idea from the player Jexro. Um, so I don't want to take credit for it. Uh, the idea is to randomly make bricks disappear within an area. So maybe you cast it on a 3x3 area. Maybe the area increases over time. The number of bricks that it makes disappear increases as you level it up. That kind of thing. So you cast it on an area, and in that area, it randomly makes bricks disappear. There's no guarantee as to which bricks it will make disappear, but it randomly makes them disappear. I think it's only useful if it prioritizes mana bricks. So if there's any mana brick within that area, it's guaranteed to at least make the mana brick disappear. Then it becomes a useful spell. Uh, and uh, the idea, one possibility is if the Skellywag idea that I had does not happen, then maybe this spell could reduce the brick spawn timer by 2.5 seconds, up to a maximum of 10 seconds. Uh, so that's the idea that I have for a spell. Um, the idea is to give other options for something that destroys mana bricks. This would create kind of wacky arrangements of bricks, which would be annoying for your opponent to try and fill in the gaps that it creates. It might give options for jump points for the koala and also dodge points for the ninja. So then it makes those cards more interesting to play with. Another idea that I've had is a new unit idea to balance out the poison brick. Um, one is so the idea is to have a unit that burrows immediately after spawning. There have been so many people who have shared this idea on Discord. I don't even know who to credit with this idea. So you play the unit, it spawns, and then it immediately uh, burrows down into the ground, travels a certain number of squares forward, and then pops back up. The distance it travels increases by level, and it cannot fight until after it burrows and reemerges. So you can't use it to block another unit. Because the first thing it does is to burrow down, which means maybe it could be killed while it's burrowing, and it won't fight back. It costs 3 mana, but has stats of the Riding Hood. So think of the stats of the Riding Hood, and except it costs 3 mana. So the idea of this unit is to balance out the poison brick and maybe some of the other, maybe just the whole idea that the game is rather bricky. So you have this option of a unit that kind of bypasses some bricks, um, while it's not extremely powerful as a unit, especially for 3 mana. It will maybe it can duck under a poison field. Um, maybe it can duck under any number of bricks. So the idea is just I don't really like the idea of nerfing the poison brick too much, uh, but we need to put other things in the game that um, will balance the poison brick out. Um, and this is one option. So if all of a sudden everyone starts playing with the mummy, the miner, Mr. Goo, and this burrowing unit, whatever it would be called, then all of a sudden the poison brick just isn't as useful anymore, and maybe you'd start to see people choose a different brick instead, um, to make a different strategic choice. As of right now, you're crazy if you don't play with the poison brick. But maybe if there was enough that could kind of balance out the poison brick, people might make some different strategic options in their deck, and you might end up facing opponents who are playing with a different set of bricks, which would be kind of cool to play against more options of bricks. So anyway, those are some of my ideas for balance changes. I would love it if in the comments on my YouTube channel, as well as in Discord, if maybe some of these suggestions get discussed, and maybe we start to get some back and forth about how to balance out everything in the game. I do actually like where things are in the game right now. Things are more balanced than at any point that I remember. So I do think that there are multiple options for what you could play right now, and even if you play with some of the worst cards, you will oftentimes still pull out a win every now and again, because even the worst cards really aren't all that bad. So the idea is, my goal is just to see. I would love to see the game at a place where people could play with uh, a few different strategies and it be okay that they still have a chance of winning basically any game. That would be what I'd like to see, instead of playing the same basic decks over and over and over again. Maybe we'll get there.